You felt like kissing the
I was going to
earth.
ask, did you kiss the ground when you got home?
I didn't do it, but I would have.
I know, right?
I guess,
Yeah.
you felt like it. You
Yeah.
really felt like doing it, and then you start seeing the women's, the young, and you say, shit. And they giggling and
Oh,
everything.
yeah, man. You
So
haven't
it
seen a
was
good-looking
nice,
girl in
yeah.
how long, right?
So, and so that night, they said we're going to have to take 3 days to process us out.
Mm-hmm.
So me and a group of guys, we went to town. And the first bar or nightclub I went in there with 2 white cats. We didn't know each other. We just met on the ship. We just happened to, I think we jumped the fence because we didn't get past, to get out of there.
Were you in
we,
uniform?
Yeah, we was in uniform, yeah. And we go to this bar, a lounge. It was crowded with GIs, of course, Most of them is AWOL. Well, they just took off.
Yeah, right. Who's going to stop you, right? You just got done fighting in a war.
Right, they didn't even try either,
Yeah.
So, and this bartender, he comes up, he said, I can serve you, but I can't serve you. And he pointed to me. It could have been a racist thing. It could not. I thought about it afterward. But everyone assumed that it was a racist thing. And you could hear a pin drop for a split second. And then that place just went up. Guys started throwing bottles and everything, breaking out, tearing up the place, MPs came, herded everyone out, and we got on buses and, they taking us back to the camp. And the next day we were on a flight. Everyone out there was sending us home. All we wanted to do is go home.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely.
So, and that was the incident. Never was, I never heard anything about the incident anymore.
Did you deck that guy or whatever?
Huh?
Did you deck that guy?
I didn't get a chance to because, guys just went berserk. Everybody.
Yeah, I can imagine, right?
This guy been on, we all have been fighting.
Chewed the same dirt.
Yeah. So, so anyway, it could have, like I said, So anyway, the next day we were out of there.
Yeah, so you got a flight home, right? You got to see folks.
Right, yeah, so I got home, and I think I had 30 days coming in, yeah.
What was homecoming like for you?
It was, man, that was the first thing, how did you like, what happened, and everyone coming around, I'm standing there, I got Purple Heart, I got medals, I got all kind of stuff,
CIB, right?
And, huh?
You got your CIB, right?
Oh yeah, I'm decked out. I had 3 rows,
Nice.
And all the kids, my former playmates, I was 18 then, right? And the newspaper, this was up in Buchanan, Michigan, comes there, and Mr. Morrow, and I recall this, I think she was the Selective Service officer. I think they were still drafting then. Yeah, they were drafting. This was in 51. 52.
Yeah, 52,
yeah, 52,
yeah. 'Cause you came home at the
Christmas,
end of 51,
52, yeah. And she asked me, they come out, they interviewed me, and my pictures in the paper and everything, And this lady comes up to me, a little lady, she comes up and she says, Mr. Morrow, would you come to our school and talk to our kids, I said, talk to them about what? About our experience. But she said it wrong because she's with Selective Service. And her reason, I said, well, what do you want me to say? What could I say? She said, well, tell them about your experience there. Because Uncle Sam, we need people. The words to that effect is what she said.
Right.
So I was to be sort of like a recruiter. And I told her, no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't, because
you didn't want that on your conscience.
I didn't want that on my conscience.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So anyway, my brothers, that was when my brother joined. That was 52, yeah. And I begged him not to.
Yeah.
And, but he figured, well, you did it, you made it, you came back.
Yeah.
But we had some guys there in that vicinity who had come back. One guy that I recall, he had lost his arm there in Korea. He wasn't in my outfit, he was in another outfit over there. And, but they figured like if you make it back, well, hey, they got just a bit. That's the way I felt.
Yeah.
Like, sure, if it's 5 people and 4 get killed, one gonna survive, and that'll be me. You know, that's the way you feel. So I said, no, I didn't want to do that. So kids was coming up to me with the same, oh, I want to join, you know what I'm saying? So I cut my short. I cut that, my furlough short. Rather than do the 30 days, I probably stayed home maybe about 2-3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
And then I told my mom I couldn't go.
So you still had time left in the service, though, right?
Yeah, I still had a year to
A
go.
year left. Okay. Yeah.
I had a year to go right then. And so I told my mother, I said, I don't want to stay. Because there's another incident too, where she asked me, how was it? Because me and her was at the kitchen table talking, and she said, how was it there? And I started to tell her some things. You know how mom doing it, she started crying, of course, right? So I cut it short. So since that time on, I never told anyone. I never told anyone about combat experience until about 33 years later. That's when I began writing my book. And, you know.
Did you feel like it had to take those 30 years to kind of like analyze everything and get perspective, or? Yeah, I think definitely so. And because, you know, it's good to let it out, but who are you going to tell? You know, like, did you kill anyone before? Question. You know, and that's a legitimate question, right? Sure, they want to know. How did it feel? You know, so you have to explain it to them because they don't know. It's not murdering. It's not like you just killing someone, just, you know, like a drive-by shooting. Well,
or
yeah,
anything.
I kind of liken it to the Bible, you know, thou shalt not commit an act of murder, you know.
Right, yeah.
It's not an act of murder.
You know, it's not.
Usually defending yourself.
You're definitely defending yourself. Your cause, I guess, but you defending yourself once you're on there. You know, when you return here, sure, okay, yeah, I was, you know, red, white, and blue, I was fighting for my country and stuff. But, you know, there, when you actually faced with an enemy, you know, you don't think about that part. You know, that's an afterthought when you
just
if
thinking
you survive.
killed, right?
Yeah. And so those things that I found too, because, you know, since I've been out within the last 5 years or 10 years, since 2000, I've accepted invitations from different schools, ROTC schools, and military college there in Fort Knox, Knoxville, Tennessee, right there.
Okay.
And different universities, you know, talking to people want to know what was it like to be, how do you feel to be a soldier, a Buffalo soldier, and the races that, you know, all those things that we encountered back there, you know. So, you know, and you say if you don't want to talk an hour, you got 15-minute Q&A, so those are some of the questions. And they should know. That's our history, you know, that's our history is, you know, so they should know the truth about war. Wars it's nothing like a movie. I never saw a movie. You know, the sounds, yeah, you know, 'cause they can really magnify those sounds, but I never saw blood, except the time that I was in a hospital. You know, because usually as an infantryman, whether you're in the Marines or whatever, you know, you don't stop to tend to the wounded if you're on the offense. You keep going. So the medics take care of that.
Medic or a corpsman, right?
Corpsman, yeah, either one. They take care of that part. All you know is that they're not there, you know, that evening when you do your roll count, or head count, however. And so, you know, so you talk about it. I think it's good. And so most veterans, I say any veteran that has spent time, and especially the medical staff, I wouldn't want that job.
Oh,
no
especially
more,
these
you know,
days,
hey,
man, with
wow.
the extent of the wounds that we have, and
Yeah, you know.
granted,
yeah.
we do have a much more advanced medical, you know, know-how and so forth, but it's
Yeah. That's when they brought in the helicopters too. Was
Well, yeah,
in
Korea
Korea,
was the
the
inception
Korean
of the
War,
MASH
yeah.
unit, you know, the
Yeah,
golden
we s-
hour
Yeah,
Yep.
to see them guys flying around there with the little.
with the bubble helicopter. Right?
Yeah, that's that thing, and but they saved a lot of lives. So.
Sure did.
hmm
So, so when you cut your furlough short, you ended up at Fort Leonard Wood, right?
Yeah, Fort Leonard Wood, and there was still on base was okay, but off base,
Hickville,
man,
right?
yeah, it's a
I went
racist
to basic at
sign.
Fort Leonard Wood. Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, it was like we're talking about 50 years different.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
when you went
yeah.
in, but I mean, it was like the moment you walk off the base, the back seat of the bus.
What was that like for you? I mean, you didn't experience that at all in Chicago or Michigan.
No, I never did. And even in D.C.,
Mm-hmm.
hey, the short period that I was there, Fort Belvoir.
In Belvoir.
Yeah. I experienced it once in D.C. I mean, that was on my way there. We stopped in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Had a change of train,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a 10-minute break. And so after the 10-minute break, we comes out, and I see this poor reporter standing there with one duffel bag, and it was mine. I saw you have your name stamped. So I say, man, what you doing in my bag? He said, oh, you got it. We're moving you to another car. I said, what do you mean? That's when I found out about the Mason-Dixon. Of course, that was before. I just finished
you're
basic
just off
training.
of the
then.
Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just finished basic training. That's when in Fort Belvoir.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, here we have to color guide one section. So they took me up. He took me up to that was one of those coal burners because it was a short trip from Baltimore to
D.C.
Alexander, I
Yeah.
believe it was.
Yep.
Yeah. And they had the coal burner. They burning coal, the engine.
The big plume of smoke.
Yeah, the scream of smoke and all that. And I took them there, and I noticed there were some women in it. Like mothers and maybe some little babies or something. And I guess they saw the look on my face. I couldn't understand why I couldn't ride with the other guys. Now we all soldiers, right?
Right.
Okay. And then that's when they explained to me about the Mason-Dixon line and the blacks ride behind the engine because that's where the coal and the smut,
Yeah.
that comes from the engine falls in there, And I said, damn, I said, you guys put up with this shit. She said, they kind of consoled me. And by the way, they had some of the best fried chicken. Everybody had their little brown bags, and they were in buckets with their fried chicken. I don't know, back in those days, people would, like you going on a trip, you carry some goodies with you, some whatever you like, your family would fix it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we sat there and we ate fried chicken. And they said, oh, this would change, they trying to console me, I guess, So anyway, that was my
Kind
first
of give you a heads up as to what to expect, right?
Yeah, so the rest, and then some of the other guys at Fort Belvoir from the south,
Mm-hmm.
they were, sort of tuning us, nodding us into what was going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys the white cats were from the north, they would say things, well, that's just the laws down here,
Mm-hmm.
And some was encouraging. They said, man, I wouldn't put up with that shit if I were you guys, like that.
Yeah,
But
stand
that
up
was
for
the
your rights,
law
right.
in that, and they probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
So their hands were sort of, hey, they didn't want to get caught up in all they wanted to do was be a soldier.
Right, serve.
Or a sailor, and serve their, duties. So, but anyway, but fast forward back to our,
Fort Leonard Wood.
Fort Leonard Wood.
Mm-hmm.
I was to be stationed there as a cadreman, putting training. So it was like a repo.
Yeah.
For guys, you got a lot of guys from Korea mostly,
Mm-hmm.
and so they're trying to distinguish where you're going, what
Right.
outfit and so forth.
What rank were you at this time?
I was in the Army. What rank?
What rank? Yeah.
I was, I think I was PFC.
Okay.
I was PFC then, yeah. I had it twice. I held that rank twice, and I just said, no way, I wouldn't be, I don't want to be stationed here.
Right.
So, but.
How did you, what was the circumstances behind being a PFC twice? Did you get in a little bit of trouble or something, or?
Well, actually, I lost that there. I lost the PFC track there.
Yeah, because I know there was like you were trying to work a technicality to get to Japan.
Yeah, I
right?
did. I took I had to, you have to F up,
Yeah.
screw up, you
Yeah.
know, in order to sign a waiver, because most of the guys there, they didn't want to finish their 2 or 3 years or whatever they had to. You know, they wanted to, actually we all wanted to return to Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Any other duty except training guys, and that's what I would have been assigned to, basic training unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe even in a quartermaster corps, and you know, some other outfit. You know, so I just didn't want to be stationed in Fort Leonard Wood. If I had been, if there was a chance, if I felt there was a chance of being stationed or somewhere like Fort Custer, you know, anywhere in the north,
Right.
I just didn't want to be stationed in the south. And at that time, see, so. So I decided that, in fact, one of my buddies told me, he said, yeah, man, I don't know, he had his orders.
Mm-hmm.
He just received it. I said, how'd you do that? We sitting around the PX, you know.
Yeah.
And this guy said, well, you know, I screwed up. I forgot exactly what he did. He got a DR, and then that entitled him to, well, that made it possible for him to sign a waiver
Mm-hmm.
to return, to go, you know, to go overseas, to be
Right.
transferred,
Right.
really. So I thought, oh, hey, that's a good idea. I'll do that. So I disobeyed a direct order to report to the mess hall.
Right.
I didn't know it would get as serious as it was.
Right.
But the company, it got as far as the company, you know, KP wasn't nothing. I wouldn't mind.
Right.
Because I've done it before there, you know, since, because there was a shortage. There wasn't, sergeants was doing
Right.
PF,
right.
KP duty.
But yeah,
back
you
in
wanted to
those
do
days.
it just so you can get busted.
Yeah, I just wanted to get out of there,
Yeah.
you know. So I did. Anyway, I got up to the company commander, and the company he said, well, you know what the consequences of your order? I said, yeah, I know. You know, yes, sir, I know, you know that. So he said, okay, I'm giving you the same order, the direct order to report to the mess hall. I said, sir, I refuse, you know. So confined to quarters, right? So I got a general court martial. You know, they was kind of hard on us in a way, blacks, you know. I'll prove this guy, you know, like I'm, you know, one of those Southern attitudes,
Right.
you know, things.
Put you down.
Yeah.
Right.
So as an example, you know, make an example out of this guy. So anyway, so I went before the board for the general court martial, and they reviewed the charges and everything. And so they asked me, said, well, you realize the consequences of a jury? I told them, yes, sir. I remember, hey, I'm a comeback soldier. I know I would never disobey a direct order. Even you just go, you can go forward. You just hide somewhere.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, but you know, you don't disobey no order. So, and they asked me why, and I told them that I just didn't want to be stationed. So they reduced the charges, I think, to special, and sentenced me to 6 months. So I soldiered my way out. You know, you soldier your way out.
Right.
You know.
So you were like in a confined
Yeah, you sent a stockade.
stockade.
Yeah, in the stockade, and 3 months I was released, and then I was able to sign a waiver. And
Get you back overseas.
Yeah, back to Japan. Now I was kind of worried about that because, you know, the war was still going on.
Yeah,
in
you could
Korea.
still end up in Korea, right?
Right,
Back
but
on the front.
they, you know, they gave us former veterans. They would give you a charge if there was any other vacancy open, and they did. So that was an airborne outfit. 8081st Resupply and Packing Company, and I volunteered for that. Then once I got in the outfit,
Did you find out about that unit when you got to Japan, or did you
I
know
found
about
out
that in
when
the
I
States?
got to Japan.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you left Fort Leonard Wood.
To Japan.
Did you fly to Japan?
No, you know, I
ship?
never flew.
No?
No, that was a ship.
Huh.
Yeah, that was the time. I think I left from Seattle that time. If
Okay.
I'm not, I could be mistaken. To Japan, Kyushu Island, Southern Island, and assigned to the 8081st. which was a rigging company of the 187 Airborne.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave us a choice to, you know, those who was interested, who were like straight leagues, you know, that's what we were called. So I jumped. I said, yeah, I was ready for
You
that.
wanted to be airborne and all
I
that,
wanted
right?
to be airborne, man. There was 22 of us went in. You know,
Yeah.
guys from the Air Force and Navy, and you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in 22, 11 pass
Past jump school?
jump school, and I was one of the 11. So
Huh.
then the next 2 years was there.
What was
that was-
airborne school like?
The school was, you know, airborne school was
Yeah.
pretty rough.
Well,
You know,
a lot of
3
running,
weeks,
a lot of
3
physicality.
weeks of physical exercise, and the last week we jumped.
Mm-hmm.
The jumping was the easy.
Were you jumping C-47s?
Yeah, C-47 and 118.
Oh, the C-119s?
Yeah,
the
that was
boxcars.
boxcar, yeah. I liked it. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was like we were gun-ho, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, the roster come up once a month, I think it was. Well, at least the required jump was once a month, and that
Yeah.
would exempt you from tax, income tax.
Oh, okay.
So I think I averaged at least 2 jumps a month. You know, every time you get a chance, 'cause I was trying to, you know, you're trying to build up your jump.
Oh, yeah.
Shooting
built
for
the
this,
jump log,
what's the second one is? The
senior rated
when you
parachute.
get your star.
Mm-hmm. Jump master.
Jump, no, not the master, before that.
Senior rated. That's what I had. It was senior rated jump.
Senior rated, you get your first star without, yeah,
Without the wreath.
without the reef,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I was shooting for. But, oh, it was great. You know, the most difficult part of being in that outfit was as a pusher. You know, we dropped supplies to different places, mostly in Korea,
Mm-hmm.
during the winter months.
Yeah.
You know, because you got water, so the water would leak from those containers.
Right.
You know, the whole
The blip.
inside. Oh man, it's just
Yeah.
like on a
Sheet of ice.
sheet of ice. Yeah. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And you know, you're dropping from what 800 feet, I think.
Wow, you guys were flying that low, huh?
Yeah, because you drop it high, the stuff, you know, your supply
Yeah.
can spread out.
That's
You're
right.
dropping on a mountain in most cases. So the Chinese was, you know, they'll be
Take pot shots
collected.
at you.
Oh yeah, they took pot shot, but they were, you know, you want your supplies to go to the, you know, the
To the right
designated,
peoples.
the right people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. So that was mandatory. You have to make at least 1 jump a month, but the air drops was, you know, maybe 2 or 3 or 4. It just
Mhm.
depended on whatever was required.
So you were packing parachutes and making bundles?
Yeah, we were packing,
Mhm.
packing and packing up everything.
Yeah.
I think we were dropping the highest, or those 810 containers,
Mm-hmm.
and also 105.
You dropping
Howitzer.
howitzers?
Hmm.
That's pretty
Yeah, we
cool.
dropped a couple of those over. Well, most
was
of
the-
that was like practice drops on,
Okay.
you know, right there.
Right there in Japan.
Yeah, in Japan.
What was the training like for that? Did you train right there in Japan for all of that?
For the airborne, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, for everything.
Right,
Yeah,
for
for,
like
the
the
rigger.
rigging and-
Yeah. Hmm.
Did you have some buddies in the unit that you hung out with?
Yeah, that was only, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think there was only, no, there was about 6 blacks in that outfit,
Mhm.
for sure, yeah. And, yeah, you know, we go to, yeah. You know, there was some white cats, you know, they were all right. They was good guys. You know, we sang together.
Mhm.
Yeah, we go out and, you
Blacks
know.
and whites? There's
Yeah,
no
oh
problem?
yeah, it was integrated,
Yeah.
very much so. And, you know, so it was, hey, I would have finished, I would have did 20 years if I could. I would
Japan.
have done my other, 17 years. I would have retired. I tried. I took a year extension.
That's what I was going to ask.
While I
Did you
was there,
re-enlist
yeah.
while you were there or extend?
Yeah, but you could only get 1, I think, at that time.
Okay.
Extension.
Right.
And in order to re-enlist there, you would have to be a sergeant or more.
Okay.
And that was when they froze the rink.
Did you get back to PFC at least?
In Japan, no.
So you were just a private
You
the
know,
whole
I
time?
don't really recall.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't really recall whether I got PLC or not. I don't think so, because, you know, they froze rink right after I got there, so
Okay.
there was no
No
promotion
promotions at all, huh?
at all. No, I don't recall anyone getting a promotion during the time that I was stationed
Mhm.
in Japan. Hmm.
So you mentioned in your book too, one of the a young lady that you were courting or whatnot
In Japan?
in Japan.
Yeah, I tried to marry her. I really wanted to. We was, you know, prior to that, you know, we just young, so we just taking, you know, women for granted. You know, it
Mhm.
just
being soldiers, right?
yeah, being a soldier. Yeah, just being a soldier. But then
What was her name?
Keiko,
Keiko.
yeah,
Mhm.
Masako, and yeah, we got to be pretty tight. Yeah, I think that probably was the first time I fell in love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you spent time down with her family and stuff too. And
Yeah, I just visited her aunt
Mhm.
once. Well, the longest we did a 10-day thing, because I think
Yeah.
that's the limit of time that you could furlough time that
Mhm.
we was that you could get as stationed overseas like that. So we did a 10 years. I visited her village, or her little town, Wakamatsu, I believe it was, the
Mhm.
seaport town.
Mhm.
And you know, then I began to get more and more in tune with the customs, and I even attempted to learn the language, and I found it was pretty easy. I mean, you know, speaking wise,
Right.
but the writing part, which is hieroglyphic, you know, that would
Yeah.
take time. I
Yeah.
know.
My wife, she speaks a little bit of Japanese and she
Yeah.
can write it and
Oh, she can write too.
She
yeah?
understands it. She can read it too. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like when we were in Japan, she learned it before we went there.
Oh,
more or
okay.
less. And,
Yeah.
like she could look at all that hieroglyphs, all the calligraphy,
I
and just
couldn't
be
figure
like,
that out.
she
but
could
nothing.
sound every little bit off to me.
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah,
I'm like, I don't
yeah,
see anything but
she did.
squiggly lines.
No, I couldn't. I didn't get there. But due to her encouragement and another GI there,
Mhm.
you know, in every outfit you got the serious type,
Yeah.
you know. And this guy, Peterson, he was the serious type. And so we sit around the basement, we'd talk about, you know, different things,
Yeah.
nightlife and so forth. And asked him what did he do, you know, he started talking. We noticed that every evening, most evenings, we get a pass, you know, we got to be back, I think, at 11 or before curfew.
Mhm.
And Peterson would always go out, if he got a package that he would take to his, you know, he'd go home to his girlfriend,
Yeah.
his keep girl. When you take the average GI, you know, he'd go out bar hopping, you know,
Yeah,
doing
you
what
don't paint the
GIs
town
do.
red.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Spend your hard-earned money.
Yeah,
Spend that junk
you know,
money.
yeah, right. You know, in the first 10 days, you broke.
Yep.
So, but Peterson, so we'd go to him for money, you know, for a loan. I said, man, what do you? He said, no, man, I go to my girl, and that's where he spent his time. He didn't go, he didn't patronize, he didn't the
Yeah,
different
local
bars and stuff.
establishments.
Yeah. So he said, look, man, we don't know how long we're going to be here, so it's best to try to learn. Or he was trying to get as much of the customs that he could. And he spoke, you know, he was learning Japanese.
Mhm.
And so I got to listen to this guy. I said, hey. And then the girl that I was going with, Keiko, she said, yeah, you just like all GI, you come here, you know, you blah, blah, blah. You know, she said a few other choice words, you know. And you don't know nothing. All you know is Itawa, Chip Chow, you know, which is come in, you know,
Yep.
the other words, you know.
Mhm.
And so then I began to, you know, I said, okay, teach me. And she would, you know, they always tell. And so she did. And I began to, you know, to learn it. And so, you know, we go out picnics and so forth. And so I really became more interested, which was a good thing that it happened then.
Yeah, it kind of broadens your
Opened my
horizons.
horizon. It broadened it to a great extent, you know. And so we start spending more time together. I just go straight home.
Yeah. Got a place?
Yeah, the
did
last
you guys,
year. Anyway.
You guys had a place together, or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we had a play. You know, most GI we had a keep girl. That's what we would call them.
Mhm.
Where we'll pay their rent, you know, and everything. See, I think it was $10 a month at that time. A yen was $1 was 120 yens, I
Okay.
believe. 360 yens to $1,
Okay. Yeah.
which made a lot of money, you know, here.
Yeah.
And it was 18,000 yen, I think. That's what the average GI would, you know, give to his girl.
Keep girl.
So keep purpose, yeah, and that would sustain her for a month, because the average salary was for Japanese labor was 18,000 yen, if I'm not, 18,000 yen, and what the heck,
Yeah, that's
I
like
had,
peanuts
you
for
know,
you.
here I figured I would drink it up,
Yeah,
you know, blow it away, you know.
Right. At least this way you got a girl and you got a place to
got
stay.
a place to stay, you got
Yep.
something to eat.
Yep.
Because, you know, out of that 18,000 yen, she'll probably pay about 600. Yeah, 1,800.
Okay.
Yeah, and she would pay, you know, rent would be like 600, and then food, and then she would have 600 left.
Right.
You know, so it worked out great. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Japan was nice, great.
But you
Mhm.
had to leave after your extension,
Yeah, after I took the year extension.
right?
And so in order for me to re-enlist, I would have to return to the States,
Right.
you know, because I wasn't sergeant. I think it was the top 3 graders that was able to re-enlist
Mm-hmm.
over there. And to marry was another question too. You have to be a sergeant or above to marry. And because, you know, you take a lot of young GIs like myself, first time away from home, first time of falling in love, you know,
Mhm.
and so the officers, they wouldn't encourage you. They would say, well, if you're that much in love, then you can return and come back on your own.
Right.
That way
Yeah.
you're serious, you know.
Mhm.
But, you know, once you get back,
Things change.
things change, yeah.
Have you ever gotten back in contact with Keiko at all? Or?
Never, you know, she wrote a couple of letters, and she sent them to my mother, received the letters. So, you know, her mom saw she passed it around to my sisters and brothers, so all those, it disappeared. I never got a chance to
You
actually
never saw the
read.
letters?
No, I'm here in Chicago, my mom up in
Yeah,
Michigan.
she's up in Michigan.
I don't know if I ever asked her to send them, you know, to send me a copy. They would
Yeah.
call me and tell me, you know, when I talked to them.
Yeah. What
But,
did they say at the letters? What was in the letters? Do you remember?
She said she was pregnant once. That was one.
Oh my.
And that's what my mom was telling me,
Uh-huh.
but I never saw the letter. And I don't think she wrote about 3 times that I recall. And by that time, you know, I'm here. I'm involved with Caledonia, you know, my lady, you know, so whatever. I wouldn't.
So when you came back from Japan, you were stationed at Fort Sheridan, right? Is that
Oh no, that's where I got discharged.
that's where your discharge was?
Yeah, I was sent to Fort Leonard Wood.
You were back to Leonard Wood then.
But you know, I went back. So when I returned from Japan, I discharged. My 4 years was up.
Yeah.
4 years and 5 months.
And that was it,
And
huh?
that was it. Yeah. Discharged June the 10th. Yeah, I was discharged June the 10th, 54.
Hmm.
Mhm.
1954.
Mhm.
Was there ever when you were doing airborne operations and stuff in Japan, you ever have like a jump that you remember, like your favorite
Yeah,
jump
the
or your best
13th
jump?
one.
Your 13th? Your lucky
Yeah,
jump?
you know, guys pulling your leg. Oh man, on my 13 dance, you know, I 13 jump, I broke my leg, I broke,
Yeah.
you know, some kind
Yeah.
of crap, you know, just the spooky, you know,
Being all superstitious.
actually the superstition, yeah, I would. So you know, I was kind of shook up, but you know, you thinking about what they're saying, you know,
Right.
but you know, it didn't materialize. The only bad experience I had was I jumped once. I remember one jump, and we jumping from 1,200 feet, you know,
Mhm.
and I looked down once, and I noticed that was a honey bucket. That's when the Japanese were using human waste, you know, for fertilizer.
Yeah.
I don't think they still do that now. And Koreans, yeah. And so I jumped out, and I saw this here big bucket. You know, it was not a bucket. You know, it's like a sunken
Like a
well.
retaining well, yeah.
Yeah, like a diameter could be like probably about 8 feet
Okay.
in diameter.
Yeah.
And which is where they, I'm just saying this for the purpose, you probably know what I mean, you know, where they store the human waste.
Yeah.
and they dip it from there, and they take it out, and, you know, spread it on the earth for the crops. And so I saw it down there. This was during the winter, though. And so I called myself isolating. I guess I didn't go over far enough.
Oh, man. You're
I
trying to pull
was
a slip to get out of
isolating,
there?
you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the next thing I looked down there, just before I was preparing for my landing, and I was right over. It was too late to do something. I probably was like, I don't know, maybe 500 feet or something. So I hit right in it, but it was froze over.
Okay, so you didn't go into it then?
Yeah, well, yeah, but I was near the edge, so and it was frozen. But anyway, I had a whole I had a vehicle. Yeah, what they call it, the trailer, you know, that we pull up by Jeep.